This is to Kaneki. To Touka. To all of the Tokyo Ghoul fans that have been shipping Kaneki and Touka. And last, but certainly not least, Ishida for crafting a beautiful, beautiful chapter. This chapter of Tokyo Ghoul Re 125, entitled X, was handled so beautifully, so well crafted. The panels, the way it was drawn, the way it was handled. Ishida, you did an excellent, excellent job with this chapter. You get another round of this. Hope you guys enjoyed this chapter as much as I did. My live reaction is up on my channel right now, but this is going to be a review in a way. It's going to be a lot different from my other Tokyo Ghoul reviews that I've been doing, just because this chapter didn't really have much that actually needs a lot of diving into. This is just purely another reaction, I guess, but just analyzing the fact of just how beautiful this chapter actually was. And I know that right off the bat, people that are fans of the, all of these ships within Tokyo Ghoul, whether it be Touka and Kaneki or Eto, or anyone that you ship Kaneki with, no matter what side you guys land on, you guys should still be happy with the fact that Kaneki has found someone that made him happy and gave him a happy moment within this life of tragedy that he has led since the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul. And the fact that it was Touka, someone from the beginning on his journey, is now with him to share in this very special, intimate moment, is something we should all be happy about. Like, honestly, this chapter was just so, so beautiful. And I do wish that I could live stream and just see your guys' like live comments and just how you guys feel about this, and yet that way you guys get to see me react to all of your comments. We'll get there soon, but my god, I would love to have live streamed just this review, just to talk about this chapter in general, because this was a very monumental and special chapter within Tokyo Ghoul. So I just want to go over a few of the panels within this chapter and just get to talk more about this with you guys. But the first page I really got to talk about too, because this first page of the chapter is different from any other first page we have gotten in a Tokyo Ghoul chapter. It's a blank page with this square in the middle with this butterfly in it, but it's the title with the name next to it, which makes me go like, wow, I think Ishida definitely wants us to know about this. It's the title X 125 and then Ishida's name, Ishida Sui. Now, the reason I am pointing this out is because I get the feeling that this is like Ishida's stamp of approval on this chapter. He has not put his name on a chapter before any of this chapters like any time before. So the fact that he put his name on this chapter, I view this as the stamp of approval. Yes, the events in this chapter are real. It is happening. This is me letting you guys know that yes, this is happening. And he put his name on there just to confirm that yes, he did this. He made it possible for the fans that have waited very long for Touka and Kaneki to finally have this intimate moment together, to finally have sex, and just to bear it all in front of one another, because I think that's another special moment just to talk about for this in general, because I know this is a very mature subject, so you have to handle it in a very mature way. And when you look at other manga or anime, especially some ecchi series or even hentai, it's just basically lewd to be lewd. But when you look at this chapter, the way that the sex between Touka and Kaneki was handled, it was handled very human-like. Like, you could tell, like, Kaneki was in character this whole time, and so was Touka. But also, just, there wasn't really like any like gratuitous, just very ecchi moments within this. It was handled very it was crafted very well and very beautifully well handled, because when you just breeze through this chapter, when you look at the panels, it's very intimate. There's a lot of emotion going between Kaneki and Touka throughout this entire chapter, but the way that it's handled, it feels real. Like, it feels like these are two actual people having this special moment for the first time, because you got to note this also. Kaneki and Touka have not had sex before, and it is kind of confirmed later on in this chapter. I'm just going to get to that page right now. When you get to page 15 in this chapter, we kind of finally get to see, and it's kind of confirmed that Touka is in fact a virgin, and this is no surprise. So we have two virgins that have never had sex before finally getting this intimate moment with one another, where Touka, took a brave step and, initiated the kiss at the end of last chapter, and Kaneki could have easily just dismissed it, held her back, but no, he didn't. He wanted this to happen as well, and he's amazed throughout this entire chapter that this is even happening to him. And I love the fact that these two just bear it all in front of one another, no clothes. They're finally letting the person see who they are for the very first time, because that is a very special moment when you think about when two people finally come together and they just bear it all in front of one another. Like, that is a very special moment, and these two characters finally did that to one another. But there are some other special pages within this chapter that I think need to be noted of, and one of them that I actually got on my second viewing and actually found it to be a little bit like deeper down from when I initially read it. It's on page 9, and it's when Touka says to him, "And to think, you used to be such a beanpole." And when you later on go down in the page, she goes, "Now you're," and she gets cut off because Kaneki goes in to kiss her. What she's basically saying here, she remembers Kaneki being this skinny, scrawny, not muscular person back all the way at the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul, and now she's amazed at the fact that he's basically ripped, and this is kind of turning her on at this point. And I think that's just very funny to note, and just goes to show that she views Kaneki in this different way than how she used to view him back in the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul. But another thing about this chapter is the dialogue, because there isn't actually that much dialogue that is put into this chapter. You get a lot of moans and what tends to happen when two people have sex. But when we do get dialogue within this chapter, I gotta say, it fits the chapter, and it's also very sweet at the same time between these two characters. I love how, in certain parts, Touka is letting Kaneki know that, where they should take it, basically saying, don't, you can be rougher with me, it's okay. But also, when Kaneki is about to, penetrate Touka and asking, can I? He's asking permission, which I actually just gotta say, Kaneki's a gentleman. At least he's, talking with his partner, during this whole intimate moment, letting know, are we all on the same page here? And, just at that moment too, when he finally does penetrate Touka, and he sees that she's in pain, and he asks, "Are you okay?" Just to make sure that, is this okay for you? And, she ends up saying, yes, this is okay. And overall, just the dialogue that went back and forth between Kaneki and Touka, it felt right, and it felt like this is what these two characters would say to one another in a moment like this that we saw within this chapter. But moving on from that, the one panel in this entire chapter that I think I was never going to expect to ever pop up in Tokyo Ghoul was on page 11. This right here, just with Touka, this is from Kaneki's point of view, and it is absolutely beautiful. I never thought we would actually get a nude scene, I guess you could say, within Tokyo Ghoul. All of the other shots are very well placed, and it hides everything very well. But right here, we kind of get Kaneki's point of view of looking at Touka for the first time, without any clothes on. And it's a beautifully crafted, and just the way that she's holding her one breast and one of it is hanging out, and it's just, she looks so beautiful in this panel. And even when you go down, he is amazed when he's looking at her, and he just says, "Wow, you're amazing." You can get the feeling that this has been built up for quite some time, and the fact that these two characters are now looking at each other, bearing it all in front of one another, is absolutely beautiful to watch. But the last page that I really got to talk about, page 19. I think that this page summed up everything so beautifully, just the way that it's a white page. You can tell that it's the fabric or their clothes that they've been laying on the whole time, and just the way that it ended, this very intimate moment between Kaneki and Touka was absolutely beautiful. This overall chapter was just so beautiful, and I think that this chapter needs to be handled maturely, and I honestly think we also need to talk about it in a mature way, because I think that's the way Ishida crafted this chapter, and I think we should also talk about it within the same way. None of this bullshit of just saying oh well, I'm a shipper of a different ship, I don't care about Touka and Kaneki. It's no, we should be happy that this happened for these two characters, and we should just look at this as just being very beautifully crafted. It's not ecchi at all. I think that this is a work of art, kind of, in a way. Just the way that it's handled, doesn't show too much, doesn't show too little. It lets us know what is going on, and Ishida just deserves a round of applause for the way that this chapter was handled. Again, this is not going to be a major review. It's just basically looking more in depth at this chapter and just celebrating the fact of this beautiful moment between Kaneki and Touka. I would love to hear your thoughts, guys, on this chapter. And if you guys have not seen my live reaction, I will leave a link at the end of this video so that way you guys can also check out my live reaction. You can read along with me as I discovered what transpired in this chapter. And I was amazed that this actually happened in the chapter. So I just got to say, well done, Ishida. You crafted such a beautiful chapter. So that's gonna be it for this review, guys. So until next week, until we pick up wherever Tokyo Ghoul is gonna pick up in next week's chapter, I will talk with you guys then. All right, guys, see you later.